As you follow Highway 80 from west to east across the state of Nebraska, you start to realize that you're following the trail of the old Oregon Trail. And just south of the Platte River, you have the grave of Miss Hale. Miss Hale was born in Missouri, and she met a young man from Tennessee who was passing through. They decided to get hitched and go off to the gold fields in around 1852, and it would be later that year that she died of cholera. Now, it's said that her husband was so distraught that he actually trekked back to Missouri to go get a really decently made gravestone and brought it up to this hill over here. Now, in Nebraska, this is what you would call Sandhill Country. And if you want to pan over here, you can actually see where the wagon ruts still cut through. And she was buried only 20 or so feet off of that wagon rut up there.
When the soldiers first started building the military posts, most of the people were coming from Independence. So Fort Kearny's first site was right in here. But it only lasted over the winter because they discovered most of the travelers were coming up to the Omaha area and disembarking on the Oregon Trail from there. So they follow the Platte River. A lot of the travelers traveled on the south side of the river, but the Mormons were on the north side of the river to mix.
Oh, to avoid kind of like attacks that might happen.
Well, to avoid mingling with each other, because Mormons didn't want. They just,
Yeah.
That's that whole wife thing.
Waste grain is utilized throughout the grain stopover in Nebraska and is relied upon more and more as the food in the meadows is depleted. Not only is the grain taken, but stalks are picked apart with overwintering cutworms consumed. As the prairie builds peaks and they live to late March, the feeding grounds close to the river are gleaned again and again for the grains to be further from the river. By the end of March, I used to travel as far as 7 to 8 miles from the river Bruce.
Beginning in 1842, immigrants started streaming over to Oregon along the newly established Oregon Trail. And by 1848, local military commanders realized the importance of establishing a sort of post along the trail to help protect them. And although this was never really a total stockade post, it did offer a good amount of protection. It was along the river. It could be easily used to ferry supplies and stuff like that through here. So in 1848, they established Fort Kearny. And within only a few months of its establishment, 4,500 wagon carts were already in the local area. It was never really attacked by the Indians, but it did serve as an outfitting during the Indian Wars, and it lasted from 1848 all the way up until 1871. And in that span of time, you saw the establishment of the Pony Express, the railroad, the telegraphs, and in fact, this was the westernmost terminus for telegraphs. So they would come into the fort, and people on the Pony Express would get the telegraph, print it off, and go take it to California. And it's fascinating to see it start at the Oregon Trail and its end with the establishment of the Trans-Pacific Railroad. And it was here that the government had its tenuous grasp on something called Nebraska Territory. Now, back in the day, Nebraska Territory was a much larger entity than it is today. It encompassed small parts of what is now New Mexico, a lot of Colorado, most of Montana, and bits of both of North and South Dakota. And it was an organized but unincorporated territory. So all that you would find here is a scattered military post. And this is a display of Fort Kearny's old flagpole with the Centennial flag right there. This is the south part of the Platte River. Just over there was the grave, which we saw previously, of one of the immigrants who died in 1852, and probably almost within rifle shot of the fort. And all around here we have reconstructions and beautiful exhibits in the museum. Some interesting landmarks on the old Oregon Trail. That is Jailhouse Rock, Courthouse Rock, and you can tell the old Oregon Trail because they built the Union Pacific rail lines right through it, connecting east to west. And of course the highway going all the way across Nevada. Western Nebraska to show a little bit of Chimney Rock, and it's part of kind of a grouping of landmarks that would have been used on the Oregon Trail, the Mormon Trail, the California Trail, and it looks a lot like a chimney in the classic video game Oregon Trail. And really the main purpose we came out here for was to get some pictures or we die of dysentery.